Hey, it's the Dread Pirate Homesteader again. Yep. For those of you know, we did change the name of it. It's probably been a really long time since I put anything else out. I have a couple things for you. One of them's this. I went and saw Civil War, the movie. Saw it on opening day. And really enjoyed the movie, right? The movie, like a couple people will tell you, is apolitical. And honestly, if you don't believe that, I really want to emphasize this movie. It is super apolitical. You can put some agenda in there if you want. You can input your own agenda. You can look at it however you want, right? You can look at it from a perspective of, hey, this must be Trump or this must be Biden. That's on you. Like, really, the movie does not specify anything like that. The movie is vague enough, too, that you're watching the last 5 days of, not the Civil War, but the last 5 days of what they consider the Western forces attack on D.C. So it's the final battle. And it doesn't focus on the military. It doesn't focus on that. It focuses around photojournalists, right? And it focuses around four journalists who, in my opinion, are what media should be. Neutral observers just taking pictures, taking the notes, taking the facts, and letting you decide kind of how to react to it, not telling you how to decide. And the hilarious part about this is watching the reviews of this movie, because everybody is flipping out about it. Like, so many people who've seen it, like, I'll even give you an example. Right before we got to the theater, Pinball Prepper, right? Him and his wife got a hacked copy of it, streamed it themselves, watched it, and then he immediately shot up his review of this movie, calling it utter garbage and trash. And basically, when you're watching the review, he missed everything. And everything he said about the movie was wrong. Like, I'm going, well, did you even watch the movie? Well, yeah, of course. But, everything he said about the movie was wrong. From the characters to the plot to he's like, well, they were using space lasers, and they never once used a laser in the movie. Those were tracers from a machine gun, right? So it was kind of annoying to see these people jump on a movie to get clickbait, and it's to get views, it's to get people to watch your channel because maybe you're having a slow week where you don't put anything out that's reasonably good content. I think a lot of prepping channels. The hard part for me, and why I don't put out as much content anymore, is because what am I going to say to you? The same 5 things every day? I could give you an update of what's going on in the world, but 20 other channels do the same thing, and I'm not going to rehash the same thing over and over just to go, well, today's the day. You should stock beans and rice and ammo. And then tomorrow I'm going to tell you the same thing. No. So I think it's sad to see people trash something that could actually be kind of itening. The whole point of Civil War was about how news media should react to events, not narratively telling you what's going on or how to think, but giving you just the facts. And throughout the movie, it shows the absolute horrors of war. It shows the things that most people are not going to understand. If you've been to a hostile war zone, like Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, all these places, you probably understand it. To you, it went, oh yeah, that makes sense. To a lot of people, oh, so super violent. But on the same side, I bet you if you went to their thing, they would go, oh my God, we need to have an uprising. And our side needs to do this to win and fight and just slaughter them all. And I went, yeah, but this is what it looks like. This is what a war looks like. This is what happens when the people decide they're tired of the government, tired of all the things, and they go to war. Now the movie premises around division throughout the United States. They keep it very vague. They're not up front and spelling it out for you, right? So you have to pay attention to the dialogue, and there's a lot of it. So the premise revolves around this, and I'll try to keep this under 10 minutes. The premise is this, that the current president put himself in for a 3rd term, somehow got elected Texas have probably the largest militaries, like equipment, troops, major bases, Navy, the whole thing. So that was the two big forces, right? They're the ones that were going after the loyal states, which if you look at the 824 map, it'll show you who's who. But they went to war against it, and that was kind of the breaking point. Yeah, the southern area, which was the Florida Alliance, which basically kind of took like anything east of Texas along the south of Florida, and then you had the People's Alliance, which was kind of supposed to be like northwest, Pacific Northwest area, and that was like, it was interesting because they called Portland the Mao Society, so like communism took over Portland in that area, which was interesting to look at because I think it's an accurate description, right? And you have people kind of in the middle, like Wisconsin, Missouri, all these states, farming lands, where basically they stayed out of it. Like, they kind of were neutral, and that was another faction in this movie. How many people were choosing to ignore what was going on because they wanted the normalcy bias to continue? And that was one interesting thing about this movie, too. It featured that. It featured mass graves, and that was a thing that also was featured. You know, a civil war. It's not just your military 1,000 miles away fighting for freedom, but no, it was in your backyard, and there was mass graves, and mass people got killed. You drop a bomb inside a city, well, okay, that's what happens, you know. And the wrong people, you cross the one side crosses the wrong side, and they do kill you because they lose humanity. Like, you look at any of the genocides out in Africa or South America, it's a free-for-all, and people learn to hate, and then when they get that, it's hard to get rid of. So there was things in there. They went to a gas station where you got to see a little glimpse into the economy. For $300, one gets you a sandwich, but 300 Canadian gets you a tank of gas. Excuse me. It was difficult to watch in the sense of, like, I know a couple of our group members, they were like, man, I really don't want a civil war here. And that's a fair fact. Like, you should probably allude to peace as much as you can, but the side thing is, if war comes, be prepared for war. Be prepared to have enough so that you don't end up being the person that has to sell your family, or sells your family out, or sells friends out, or whatever, to go loot and go steal, because those people will eventually get caught. They had looters in one section of the area that they caught, and they were friends. Well, not so much friends, but they had grown up together in the same area, and they had them strung up and killed. And it was interesting in this aspect. And the photographer's main goal, or the four photographers, or how do you call them? Reporters, their main goal was to basically document the fall of the American president and see if they could get an interview and see if they could get that picture. And I think it was really kind of an interesting aspect to it, where, yeah, it didn't feature American soldiers. It didn't feature the militia. It wasn't focused around this. It was a nice break from having to do this. But then you flip around and you turn around and get people's reviews and concepts. Well, one, they kept it vague on the story. It was very politically a-neutral. And they kept it kind of vague of how things happened. It forced you to listen to the story. It forced you to listen to dialogue. They didn't spoon feed it to you. And if you missed it, you missed it. And they hear people getting upset. We just don't know what's going on. And, you know, my wife too, like, she struggled with it because she didn't know how to, like, feel, because how do you get behind a character? How do you root for these people? And I'm like, I don't know if that was necessarily the goal. Maybe you don't root for them. Maybe you don't root for the people, because in the end they were bad people. Like, it's just bad people on either side. You don't know the true reason of why the collapse even truly happened, other than these few things. And it's like, I look at it as like, you take your pick. You take your pick on why, you know. The why wasn't so much. And people are getting, like, have a hard time with that, because every other movie would tell you, this is what happened, and this is how it is, and this is the people that you should hate. And it's really not. It's all about, like, the deprive of humanity and how society devolves. And you're like, oh. And it's a little dangerous for some people. I would honestly say, too, everything I vote for is the right thing and voting's going to make a difference. In reality with this movie, it's showing you that it doesn't matter. This country's on the verge of collapsing because you're looking at a perspective of division, and it's divided across all sorts of things. People cannot seem to even get together, and they can't even get together to even watch a movie. Like, this is the division that you see. 60% of this country is completely lost to this division thing. Another 20-30%, like our sides, are basically just saying like let it go. Like, nothing you do is going to make a difference in this country anymore. It's too far gone. One man's not going to save it. So, anyways, my recommendation for Civil War, and this probably got out a little longer than I wanted to, is go see the movie, go with an open mind, and understand that the movie is actually fairly, in my opinion, an excellent movie. Well shot, well edited, well put together. The acting was awesome. And understand that it's more of an art, I would say it's more documentary style, more road trip, and very a little bit more like there's some artistic taste to it. It's not going to be action movie. It's not going to be a war documentary of like 1917, and it's not going to be overdone or overhyped, and it's not going to be this. So go in it with a really good paying attention mode, because if you're staring at your cell phone the whole time, you're going to lose probably half this movie. So, anyways, this is the Dread Pirate Homesteader giving you my recommendation. I would say this